Look, today's uptick in unemployment is just the latest sign of a fair amount of fragility in our national economy. Unemployment went up 0.2% to 3.7%. Participation went down 0.1%, and hours worked down 2% on the usual January figure. Now, they're all worrying straws in the wind in an economy that shed 40,000 jobs over the past 2 months. Yesterday, the Reserve Bank Governor said he still expects unemployment to average 4.5% next financial year, which could mean it peaks even higher as the central bank juggles its mandate to get inflation under control with the only lever it's got, which is higher interest rates, against the obvious national interest in minimising unemployment. Official rates still have further to rise, probably to around 4%, with variable home loans, that's the rates we actually pay, likely to go over 7%. Now, as well as a mortgage cliff, some 800,000 home borrowers will fall off when their fixed rates come to an end in the coming year, meaning increased average repayments for those homeowners of $16,000, where there are other factors at work restraining spending, slowing the economy and pushing up unemployment. These are the ongoing supply chain disruptions from the aftershocks of the pandemic, from Putin's war and the partial decoupling of China. There's the return of immigration too. This is a big one. No one much in Canberra wants to talk about it. But if we're going to go back to 200,000 newcomers a year, all of whom will need a job and a home and a way to get around, that unemployment number is not going to stay where it is. Even with demands for labour still high, an extra 200,000 people seeking work in Australia is going to make it harder for people in those high job turnover industries to stay in work. Now, adding my earlier point about the mortgage cliff, and you can see why Australians are already under stress.
I think any treasurer is worried about the prospects of a slowing economy, and I am, of course. You know, when the economy slows, when the unemployment rate ticks up, even if it still remains at or near historic lows, there are human consequences for that.
Now, higher repayments are manageable when you've got work. You just tighten your belt and maybe you talk to the bank about rescheduling some payments. Tough as it is, but higher repayments are a disaster if you're out of work. People who lose their job are likely to lose their homes as well, with all the ongoing economic and social turmoil that means. So yes, the Reserve Bank will need deft judgment over coming weeks not to keep raising interest rates too far and too fast, but the government needs to be careful not to make a bad situation worse, avoiding policies that needlessly increase costs and needlessly increase spending. Now, Labor will say it's practising spending restraint, but does anyone really believe that? Labor loves a handout. Labor loves spending your money, taking it from you and then giving it back to you, calling it welfare in the hope you'll thank them for it at the next election. Here's Liberal Shadow Treasurer Angus Taylor on this point today.
In the job figures today, we see the dangerous combination of stubbornly high inflation and job losses. Labor's only answer is to spend more money when history tells us this is exactly the wrong approach. Why does Labor always get the big economic calls wrong?
With the challenges ahead for the economy, May's federal budget will be more important than ever.